The city of Lagos, there lived a young boy named Emmanuel. Emmanuel was the only child of his mother, Teresa, who had been widowed at a young age. Teresa was a kind and loving person, but she was also extremely protective and indulgent of her son. From a very young age, Emmanuel was pampered and spoiled by his mother. She would do everything for him, from feeding him to dressing him, and even tying his shoes. Teresa would not let Emmanuel do anything that might put him in harm's way, and she would often go to great lengths to ensure his safety and comfort. As Emmanuel grew older, his mother's pampering and spoiling only intensified. She would buy him the most expensive clothes and toys, and would often give him large sums of money to spend as he pleased. Emmanuel's friends would often marvel at the way his mother treated him, and would sometimes even joke that he was the prince of the village. But despite his privileged upbringing, Emmanuel was not a happy child. He felt suffocated by his mother's constant attention and interference, and longed for the freedom to make his own decisions and take care of himself. Teresa would always fight anyone who tries to correct or shout at her son for his bad behavior. This made Emmanuel to be more arrogant and rude. As Emmanuel entered his teenage years, he began to keep bad friends. Sometimes he would come back late to the house and his mother would overlook him. One day, Madame Deborah, a concerned neighbor who lived close to Teresa's house, decided to pay them a visit regarding Emmanuel's bad character. "I think you need to take a closer look on your son's behavior," Madame Deborah started. "You are not doing him any good by overlooking his bad attitude. There's a saying, which says, 'Spare the rod and spoil the child.' Emmanuel is still a little child. When he grows up he will adjust. So you came to my house to talk about son, why can't people mind their own business?" Teresa ranted. Madame Deborah, who is not ready to pick a fight with someone, decided to leave Teresa to do whatever she wants with her son. "I hope you won't regret all this later," Madame Deborah said as she stood up and left the house. One day, Emmanuel's mother received an offer for him to attend a prestigious boarding school in the city. Teresa was overjoyed at the opportunity, but Emmanuel was hesitant. He knew that the school would be challenging, and that he would have to learn to fend for himself. He doesn't want to go far away from his bad friends. Despite Teresa pleaded for him to accept the offer, he refused. "I don't like that school. I heard a lot of bad things about that school, like ghost hunting students in the midnight, bad teachers flogging and beating students for the crimes they knew nothing about, and so many of them," Emmanuel said, giving his freaky excuses to escape from going to the school. Teresa, tired of convincing her, decided to reason with him. Who knows, he might be saying the truth. Some of these boarding schools are something else. She decided to forfeit the golden offer into one of high-ranking schools in Lagos and enroll her son to a nearby school that is not far from her house. After 2 years, Emmanuel started schooling in high school. His character became worsened. One day, Emmanuel left the house. Teresa became worried. She looked for him everywhere and even asked some of Emmanuel's friends, but no one seems to know his whereabouts. After 3 days, Emmanuel returned looking furnished and fresh. His handbag filled with money. Teresa, who didn't care to ask where he went to for 3 days, welcomed him and happily received those money and gift Emmanuel got for her. And this continued for some years. 5 years later, when Emmanuel was 26 years old, he was caught together with his gang where they went and robbed a popular bank in the area, which claimed many lives. Teresa, hearing what her son did, fainted. She regretted her actions and asked God to forgive her while in the hospital bed. "I have not been a good mother to the only child that God gave me," she lamented. As Emmanuel and his company was arrested, he was immediately charged to court and was sentenced to death by hanging. Emmanuel regretted his evil ways and the evil role his mother played in his life by not correcting him right from his childhood, and vowed not to forgive his mother even unto his death. On the day Emmanuel was to face his death penalty, he was surrounded by friends and family. Teresa, who had recovered from her sick bed, managed to go and see her son for the last time. Emmanuel, on sighting his mother among the crowd filled with more hatred than before, he immediately pleaded to talk to his mother for the last time. Teresa, also eager to speak to her son, rushed to where her son was. "Mother, bring your ears, I want to tell you something," Emmanuel said with a bitter voice. As Teresa moved closer, Emmanuel cut her ear with his teeth. "You evil woman, you have to live with that scar to remind you of your evil impact to my death. You never corrected me when I was doing bad things, you never asked me where I got those money and gift I gave to you from." Emmanuel cried painfully, ready to face the consequences of his evil deeds. And Teresa, having given an everlasting scar from her beloved and pampered son, learned her lesson in a painful and miserable way. The story of Teresa's mistakes serves as a reminder of the importance of training our children in the right way, train them with love but never over-pamper them. As they said, the bed you fail to dress in the morning will wait for you in the evening. Dear viewers, thank you for watching. Please do well to like and share this story so that you will be notified whenever I post another interesting story. The end.